Hey everyone, Caleb with the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with the answer of what causes foxing. I know I've addressed this in other videos, but this video, again guys, is just going to explain what the causes of foxing are. So guys, foxing, as I've explained in other videos, is something that you get that happens to books that has just little brown spots or black spots or something like that, and some people think they're unsightly, some people think they're ugly as everything, but at the end of the day it is a totally normal process that you have that happens with older books. This book here, guys, is from the mid 1700s, and as you guys could see, it has some foxing on it. Guys, it is totally normal to have something like this. However, despite how normal it is, despite all of that, despite the fact that we've all come across it if we are selling antique books, and if you're seeing this video, you've probably come across it as well, but despite all of that, foxing still can negatively impact the value of your book. And the reason for that, guys, is, again, it's sort of unsightly. People look at it and they think there's something wrong with your book, and at the end of the day, you can sort of argue that it definitely is an issue with the book. What causes foxing, guys, is that you can have different impurities, let's say copper or iron, left over from the printing press process or from the paper making process itself. That can get on the paper or in the paper itself, and that can actually, over time, cause oxidation that causes a little brownish color or blackish color, depending on the metals, depending on the environment that it's in. That can cause different coloring of foxing. Besides that, you can also have foxing caused by things like mildew and mold. So guys, the house that this book came from had some heavy humidity in it. I believe it must have had some flooding where they kept the books a few times. But if you look really closely, there are some brown spots, and this one is not a great example for that, hence why I got a couple other ones. Here's a much better example that you guys should be able to see. You can see just the little blackish spots on this, and as you can tell, this is from the mildew that was in the air. I find that the mildew foxing does appear different than the foxing left over by things like the iron or copper left over on the paper. Of course, it's not guaranteed to be different, but it is something that I personally think I can sort of tell when I'm doing this with my business. But guys, let me just tell you that just because the text block's edge, which is what this is, the paper pages, that's all called the text block. The edge can be foxed, but that does not necessarily mean that the pages inside are foxed, which is something I think is interesting and something that is worth pointing out. The reason, again, for this, guys, is potentially the foxing can be caused by oxidation, and if the book is not left open a whole lot, it might not be exposed to the same level of air that the text block's edge might be exposed to, so the oxidation caused by the irons and whatnot will be different on the text block as opposed to the interior. And in addition to that, the mildew side of things, you might have more mildew on the text block edge than you would with the actual interior pages. Again, guys, you don't have anything here, but if you could see in person especially, there is spotting from here, foxing on here, left over by the mildew on this book. So guys, that is something that you will come across quite often when you are buying and selling old books. Personally, for me, I find most of the books that I have that have foxing are from about the 1970s and earlier. However, I do have ones that are newer than that. I do have ones that are older than that are foxed or are not foxed. Just because it's a certain age does not mean it has foxing on it. In fact, guys, I have come across new books that have foxing on it. Usually for that is caused by the more mold mildew side of things. And when you have something like that, that is a lot more problematic than when it is just because of iron rusting or copper oxidizing, that side of things. When it's the iron or copper, much less of an issue, much less of a risk. Whereas if it's mold and mildew, there are a lot of people that are allergic to that. People with asthma, the mold spores can actually inflame their asthma, which can cause issues. So that is something to keep in mind, and that sort of does explain why some people think there's a lot less value in it. But guys, at the end of the day, foxing is a totally natural, normal process for a lot of books. It's not something to be a whole lot too terribly worried about because, again, it's totally natural. Things age, things get spots. That's sort of what happens with everything. Again, though, guys, if you have the mold and mildew side of things, that can be problematic. So keep in mind that that is something, again, you should be thinking about when you are buying and selling your old books. But end of the day, most of the foxing that I come across with books, guys, is going to be because of the iron or copper or all the other things that are going to be present in the creation of these books. And when those things are present in the creation of it, it can be present long after it's been created. Again, guys, this book right here is from the 1700s. It has foxing from when it was printed. Just because you couldn't see it when it was printed doesn't mean it wasn't sort of beginning. And after a few hundred years, that foxing is a lot more visible. And fun fact, guys, just going to leave you guys with a fun fact. See this cool decoration over here? So sometimes this cool decoration, guys, will actually use a color called Paris green. I highly recommend you guys look up that color on the interweb because it's a beautiful color, but we almost never see it anymore nowadays. And the reason for that is Paris green actually uses copper, totally normal, and arsenic. Arsenic, if you guys have been playing along with life any amount of time, is sort of a highly toxic thing. It can sort of kill you. So that's something fun with really old books, guys, is some of them actually do have some very toxic things in them. And as such, I recommend that you guys wash your hands after dealing with them, not just before dealing with them, because the germs on your hands can damage your books. So wash your hands beforehand, but also wash them afterwards, because sometimes there's some things in the books that can actually hurt you. So keep that in mind, guys. If you guys want to learn more about foxing in books, I have a whole playlist, which you guys can see here. If you guys just want to learn more facts about books in general, you can always check out the rest of my channel, probably a random video link there, and you can always subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.